Hey, what's going on? Today, I want to talk about awareness. So, I used to say, years ago, I used to say I'm a pretty self aware person, and I thought I was. And as I have grown, I've realized that back then, 5, 10, 15 years ago, I actually was very unaware, but I thought I was self aware. And so, one of the lessons I've learned is that this awareness thing is always growing, and it's something that we always need to be focused on, because if our thoughts become things and we maybe don't necessarily like the reality that we're creating, one of the first steps is becoming more aware of what it is that we're thinking about all the time and what it is that we're creating. So I did this little experiment not too long ago where for 2 days, as like 2.5 days, I recorded all of my thoughts. And I mean, like, as many as I could possibly get. So if the studies say that we have about 60,000 thoughts a day, I probably only got about 500 thoughts down over the course of those 2.5 days because it was like a full-time job. So what I did is I had a little audio recorder. I put it in my shirt pocket or somewhere around my face, and I just let it run all day long. And as I would have a thought, I would record it. And what I realized is day one, it was a little depressing. And I didn't even realize that I had all these thoughts around things like I wish, I should, I want, I can't. Just all of these thoughts that I really wasn't even aware that I typically had in a given day. I thought I was a pretty positive minded person, but I mean, I don't know, it was probably 90% of the thoughts that I got down on day one were not necessarily positive or moving me towards what I actually desired. So I was like, all right, well, let's start with day two. Day two, I was much more aware. So I would actually choose to have different thoughts on day two. So the moral of this for me was that awareness is something that we have to constantly work on. I don't think we ever actually, I mean, outside of maybe Buddha and people like that and Eckhart Tolle and stuff like that, I mean, I think that there's just so much that we can work on awareness, and it's super important to do so. So this was just a great reminder for me. This experiment came up for me this morning when I was doing some journaling, and it was just a great reminder that we need to constantly be working on our awareness. And any point in time that I say, oh yeah, I'm a pretty self-aware person, that actually now is my key to take a step back and say, oh wow, okay, I need to really pay attention to this and continue to work on it because I still have a ton of work to do. So it was an interesting experiment, and I have a couple other people that have done this same experiment, and it's been extremely helpful when it comes to awareness. And if it's something you want to do, I highly recommend it. You'll be very interested. Just one thing to pay attention to is that if you do something like this, make sure that you don't judge yourself for it. So you don't start to feel bad. Well, just make sure you don't judge yourself. Be the observer of your thoughts. Don't actually buy into them. Those thoughts are not necessarily actually you. Just don't beat yourself up is the best advice that I can have, and that I've given to other people that I have helped do this before, because you can go down a rabbit hole pretty quick. But I guess biggest point is just remembering awareness. So being aware of, why are we doing the things that we do? Why am I thinking the thoughts that I'm thinking? And the next layer deep of, what are all those thoughts that I'm thinking that are running in the back of my mind that I'm not even aware of most days? And by becoming more and more aware of those things, I can choose different thoughts. I can choose to change those, and that will help create the reality that I actually desire to live in. So hope that was helpful. Become more aware today. So think about it as you go through the day. Pay attention to what those thoughts are that you're thinking, and then go a layer deeper and a layer deeper and a layer deeper, and just become more and more aware of what it is that you're thinking about. Have a great day.